Hello, and welcome to our new program called the Consumer Toolbox. My name is Milagros Johnson, and I'm the Director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information in Springfield. Our office is a local consumer program funded by the Massachusetts Attorney General. Our office serves residents of Hampden County and a third of the Worcester County. Today, we will be introducing you to the program and introducing you also to a student intern who happens to also be a consumer. He is from Western New England University, and he will be asking me questions about our program, which you'll want to hear about, as well as questions about his consumer rights. Hi, Nicholas.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks for coming on with me.
You're welcome.
Look forward to your questions now.
So I was reviewing some of the stuff that your office does, and I was just wondering, I know you touched a little bit on who you serve, but I was wondering if you could just explain a little more of who you serve and your constituents and just who the people you help the most.
Okay. Well, as I said in the introduction, our office is funded by the Attorney General's office, and we serve residents of Hampden County and a third of Worcester County. That means that if you live anywhere in those areas or you come into our jurisdiction to do business with a merchant and you have an issue, then we are your local consumer program.
Okay.
What we do is we educate consumers on their rights, and then we also mediate consumer complaints.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so with that said, say I live in Hampden County and I do a business transaction with a company that's, say, in New York. So I would go to your office in order to mediate whatever complaint I might have?
That's correct. It usually goes by where the consumer lives.
Okay.
However, it depends on the type of transaction. For example, if you travel to Vermont to purchase a vehicle, then it would be the Vermont laws would apply. So therefore, we would have to refer you to the Attorney General's office in Vermont. But most of the complaints are within the jurisdiction where the consumer lives that we would handle.
Okay. And I was also wondering, you said you've been around for 14 years?
Yes, yes, we have.
And over those 14 years, how successful has your office been in resolving complaints that come across your desk?
Thank you for asking that question, because I'm very passionate about the work that we do. In the years that I've been there, close to 14, the office has been in existence for 15 now under the city auspice. We have recovered nearly $11 million for consumers. That means that we have successfully resolved complaints for consumers. And that is in the form of a credit, of a refund, a replacement product or vehicle. So it goes to show, the commitment that we have to the work that we do.
Okay. And to go along with that, I'm sure you see a number of complaints, from all dollar amounts, from all types of businesses. And based on your 14-year experience, what would you say is the most important issue that you come across and the one that you may have to deal with the most?
Nick, in the 14 years or nearly 14 years that I've been doing my job, every year when I do my statistics at the end of the year or the beginning of the following year, it has been auto-related sales. So it's lemonade law issues, lemon law, consumers who have purchased a vehicle that are having problems with the vehicle and the dealership, and the complaints are not being resolved amicably, and the consumer then has no choice but to file a complaint with our office. So again, the number one leading complaint every year in our office is auto sales related complaint, which I hope to get that reduced to something else. I mean, there are other types of complaints. We get a lot of home improvement contractor complaints. We get complaints about issues with a product or service. We get complaints about credit issues, debt collectors harassing consumers. The complaints vary. If it's related to your money or you're a consumer or your credit, we can help you. And if we can't help you mediate, we will refer you to someone that can. But again, the complaints can vary anywhere. We unfortunately cannot mediate identity theft cases or scams or fraud. Some of them we can, I should say. Some of the ones that are related to fraud, we help to see if we can recover the money for the consumer. But if it's a fraudulent company, it's a scam, that it's a no-show company, then obviously we won't be able to help. But we will empower the consumer to prevent it from happening to them again. And that's the whole purpose of the show, is to give consumers the tools they need. That's why it's called the Consumer Toolbox, is to provide consumers with all the tools they need to make informed decisions and to prevent them from becoming victims of either identity theft, fraud, or scams.
And that is all very good information to take advantage of. So you said that there are a number of LCPs around Massachusetts in general. I just want to know, based on other LCPs numbers, based on the number of complaints, how successful your office is, or the number of complaints that you get compared to some other offices, and how that factors into the helpfulness that you can offer to consumers.
I don't know exactly how many complaints the other offices get. We get the total number for the entire state from the Attorney General's office. There are, however, 18 offices, local consumer programs throughout the Commonwealth, which are all funded by the Massachusetts Attorney General, and it's broken down by county. We all are committed to the work that we do. We all strive to reach the best resolution for the consumer. So I would encourage consumers to use those resources. Reach out to the Attorney General's office. If you file electronically with the Attorney General's office, the complaint more than likely is referred to the local consumer program closest to where the consumer lives. So I'll take a break now, if you don't mind, so that when we return, we're going to have some wonderful questions from Nick in regard to out-of-sales related purchases. Thank you.
I'm Social Security Commissioner Michael Astrew.
And I'm Scott Gould, Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs.
Every 2 minutes, the U.S. government receives an identity theft complaint.
Don't let criminals take your money. Never give your Social Security number or bank account information to anyone unless you initiated contact.
Treasury, Social Security, VA, and other government agencies will never contact you by phone, email, or text for this information.
Watch your accounts carefully.
Don't be a victim. Visit stopfraud.gov or call 877-ID-THEFT to learn more.
Welcome back to the Consumer Toolbox. I'm speaking with Nicholas again about issues regarding consumer-related topics, and he is about to ask questions about, I believe, buying a vehicle. Nicholas?
Yes, I am. I'm going to graduate in May, and I'm currently looking and trying to figure out what my best options are for purchasing a car after I graduate. I was just wondering, what were some things that I should look for before I even start thinking about buying a car? Any resources I should check, anything along those lines that would help me out in my decision?
Okay. It's very smart for you to think ahead and think outside the box, because you should be prepared. You just don't get in the car and have someone drive you, or you drive yourself to look at cars. You should, before you do that, there are many things that you should do. For one, you should check your credit report to see where your credit stands, especially if you're looking to finance a vehicle. If you have the money saved up and you're paying cash, then we'll move that'll be part of the subsequent answer I'm going to give you. But to begin with, most people finance their vehicles, so make sure that you check a credit report to see where your credit rating stands. Then once you know that there's nothing on there that's going to impair the ability for you to get good financing, then you check with your local bank or your credit union to get the best interest rate. Also, you're locked in. The bank will tell you what you can or cannot afford, so that if you know that your budget is, limited to a certain make and model and year, or a certain dollar amount, you're not going to go looking up to a high-end vehicle because you cannot afford it. You may wish you could afford it, but you can't at the time. So the bank will let you know what you can or cannot afford. So that's really important. You also want to decide on what you're looking for features, so that you know what you're looking to spend. Are you looking for an all-wheel drive here in New England? It's a nice feature to have. Do you want standard or manual or automatic? Are you looking for, a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder? Those are all the things that you should consider. Do you want all the bells and whistles? Do you want navigation and satellite radio? Obviously, a lot of those things that I'm mentioning right now are wants and not needs. So if you're looking for something that's affordable and dependable, you may want to eliminate your wish list for your first car, especially if you're just graduating from college and you're going to have some college bills to pay. So buy what you can afford.
Okay, okay. Definitely good advice.
Thank you.
For all students that are looking to get out in the market. And going along with the dealer, are there any ways that I can go about checking a dealer's reputation for used cars or even new cars that would help me avoid buying a lemon down the road?
That's another good question. As I said earlier in the first part of the program, auto-related sales is our leading complaint every year, so I'm glad that you asked the question. Consumers can check to see the reputation or the history of complaints about a dealer if they call the Attorney General's office in Boston, if they call the Public Records Division of 617-727 617-727-8400. I repeat, 617-727-8400. They will share with you the number of complaints filed within the state against a particular dealer. You also have the option to go online and check with the Better Business Bureau, and those answers or records are available on their website. You can also type in the name of the dealership followed by the word complaints, and you'd be surprised at what Google will give you if there are complaints. A lot of consumers are venting and expressing how they feel about a bad purchase, and they go online and they file complaints and they post on forums and blogs, and so you may want to do that as well. And another option would be to check to make sure, especially if you're looking for the best deals, which are at small mom and pop dealers. They're kind of a hidden gem, but there also could be some hidden secrets that you don't know about. So be sure that they have a business certificate with the town or city that they're operating out of, and that they also are licensed to operate. So those are the important things to check.
Okay, definitely something that I'm going to take into consideration. And I mean, I've heard, as you explained earlier, that your office is inundated with auto sales, auto repair complaints. And I keep hearing these terms, the lemon and lemonade law. I know they have to do with used cars or even new cars, auto sales in general. I was just wondering if you could try to explain to me the difference between the two and how they might affect my purchasing decisions.
There are a lot of lemons out there. As you know, there's a lot of recalls. That's all we read about these days. When you turn on the TV or you pick up the newspaper or any publication, the first thing you read about is scams and fraud. And so there are a lot of vehicles out there that could be lemons as well. So there are things for you to do, and there's a lot of things that you can research before you go out and buy a car. So the one thing you want to do is make sure that you check the history of complaint with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. If you go to nhtsa.gov, which is, again, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website, it will tell you the number of complaints consumers have filed nationally. It will give you any technical service bulletins that are on record for that particular year, make, and model, and it'll also tell you what recalls are have been on that vehicle or pending on that vehicle. So those are the things that you should do before you actually go out and buy the car. So I should have added that to the previous question that you asked. So check the history, check to see how reliable that vehicle is. Obviously, there are millions of cars right now on the road that are unsafe to drive, that are still being sold without the recalls being addressed. So dealers are unfortunately selling the vehicles to consumers before they address the recalls that are pending. So that you want to check before. Another thing you want to do, I forgot to mention this also, is go to the Kelley Blue Book, kbb.com, I think it is, Kelley Blue Book, and it'll tell you what you can expect to pay for that particular year, make, and model. And Edmunds.com is another one that also gives a lot of very good information regarding the dependability, reliability ratings of a vehicle. So there's a lot of resources for consumers before they get behind a wheel, test drive a car, and say, I'll take it, only because the car looks pretty. I always said a vehicle can be almost like cancer, and I know this is kind of a weird thing to say, but if you understand what the message behind it, you look at a person and they look healthy and vibrant, and they don't know deep down inside they have an illness or a disease, or, for example, cancer. And I'm not, I got to be careful how I say that. I don't want to offend anyone. But the same thing with a car. We've gotten a lot of complaints from consumers that buy beautiful, shiny, gorgeous cars, and when they take them to get inspected and they're put on a lift, the car is rotted underneath. So consumers, just be aware. There are things that you can do to protect yourself before you buy a car, and that's what I want to prevent you from doing, is buying a lemon. Have the car checked by a mechanic as well before you decide to buy it. So why don't we take a break, and I'll be back in a moment to talk about the lemon law. There are a lot of things that you need to know regarding exactly what the lemonade law does to protect your rights. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Social Security Commissioner Michael Astro.
And I'm Scott Gould, Deputy Secretary for Veterans Affairs.
Every 2 minutes, the U.S. government receives an identity theft complaint.
Recently, we've learned that more and more people are getting scammed out of their money when they give their personal information to criminals who contact them by phone, email, or text.
These criminals often say you've won the lottery, or they claim to be from a government agency needing certain information, like a social security number.
Treasury, Social Security, Veterans Affairs, and other government agencies will never contact you by phone, text, or email and ask you for this information. If you get contacted like this, it's a scam. Hang up, delete the email, call the authorities.
Don't let criminals take your money. Protect yourself. Never give your Social Security number or bank account information to anyone unless you initiated contact.
And watch your accounts to make sure that all the activity is yours.
Don't be a victim. Visit stopfraud.gov or call 877-ID-THEFT to learn more.
Welcome back to the Consumer Toolbox. If you're in the market or will be in the market for a new vehicle in the very near future, you want to definitely listen to what we are going to be talking about right now. Welcome back, Nicholas. Let's go back to your interesting questions, and I hope to continue to empower you with consumer knowledge.
We'll get right into it. So, we talked about a little bit of the difference between the lemon and lemonade law. So, my situation, I'm in the market for a used car. So, say I buy a used car from this dealership, and it turns out to be, a piece of junk, doesn't perform the way that it should, and fails inspection. What are some recourse that I might have against a dealership and to get my money back? Maybe is another option.
Okay, so let me first go back a few steps to explain to you the difference between the lemon law and the lemonade law. The lemon law is for a brand new vehicle. The lemonade law is for a used vehicle. So if you buy a used vehicle, you have protection for both. There's lemon laws for both, but they vary. In other words, for a used vehicle, you have anywhere from 30, 60, or 90-day warranty, and that is based on the mileage at the time of purchase. So if a vehicle that you buy used has an excess of anywhere from even though it's used, up to 39,999 miles, that would entitle you to a 90-day warranty or 3,750 miles. If it has anywhere from 40,000 to 79,999, automatically under the lemonade law, you are entitled to a 60-day warranty or 2,500 miles, whichever comes first. And then if it has anywhere from 80,000 to 124,999, you get a 30-day warranty or 1,250 miles. It's not set by what the dealer wants to give you, but by what the state says you're entitled to get for a warranty. So if the vehicle has, you're probably wondering, what about if it has over 125,000 miles, which there's a lot of cars out there that are still, on the market for consumers to buy that have in excess of 125,000 miles, which can go many more miles, I can tell you that. But you do have a different type of warranty, and that is called the implied warranty of merchantability. The dealer is still responsible for the vehicle to pass inspection. It's just that you don't have a set period of miles or days. It just has to run for a reasonable period of time. So it's a little confusing, but again, you do have protection if you buy a used vehicle. And a question that gets asked quite often, Nick, is can a dealer sell me a car as is? And the answer is absolutely not. A dealer cannot in Massachusetts sell a car to a consumer in an as-is condition.
Okay, and I've heard stories about dealers doing that, and then consumers kind of just left out to dry. Even if the consumer agrees on the contract to sign the contract with the car being as is, you're saying that's still not allowed?
Well, again, without answering, you said the word contract. Contract is more of a legal binding agreement. I'm going to stir back to the original statement that I made, whereby I stated that a dealer is not allowed to sell a vehicle in an as-is condition in the state of Massachusetts. If you encounter that situation where it happens to you, or someone who purchased a vehicle in Massachusetts, was sold by a dealer in an as-is condition, then the consumer has a right to file a complaint with our office and with the licensing commission of that city or town they live in, or pursue it, through litigation.
Okay.
So basically, to go a little bit further on the Massachusetts lemon law, if the vehicle fails inspection, you have 7 days to have the vehicle inspected. That's what the lemon law states. If the vehicle fails inspection for any safety-related or emissions-related defects, and the consumer can show that it's going to cost more than 10% of the purchase price, that entitles the consumer to seek a full refund. How do you do that? Well, now you've taken the initiative, you've didn't wait beyond the 7 days. You had the car inspected. Now you're going to go take it to a mechanic and say, can you tell me in writing, show me in writing, what it's going to cost to repair these defects that caused it to fail inspection. If you can demonstrate to the dealer that it exceeds 10% and you have it all documented and you abided by the regulations, you have to exercise your right a little further, write a letter to the dealer demanding a refund, and enclose a copy of the inspection and the cost to repair to the dealer, and then they have to respond.
Okay. And I think you might have stated this earlier, but when you kind of encounter these situations, I think you said documentation is key.
Documentation is key, definitely. You want to document everything. If you take the vehicle back for a repair, let's say the repairs do not exceed 10%, or they do, but it's your option if you want to allow the dealer to repair those defects, you want to make sure that it's documented. You want to get something in writing from the dealer. Although the vehicle is covered under the dealer's warranty period, they might say to you, no, I don't have to give you anything because it's under my warranty period. Well, yes, it is, but under the Massachusetts regulations, they must give you a work order. So you want to keep a paper trail of everything. So if you drop the vehicle off, ask them when you pick it up, make sure they give you a work order. Even though it's not costing you anything, they just have to write under warranty and give you the work order. And I see that a lot. I see that often being a problem for the smaller mom and pop dealers, not the big chain dealerships. They're pretty compliant with that, but it's the smaller dealerships. Either they don't know of their obligations or they tend to ignore what responsibilities they have.
Okay. And so I guess you covered the difference between lemon and lemonade law in detail. And to go back to my first question, the scenario I put out was that I did buy a lemon. What sort of recourse do I have? What options might I have in order to kind of get some of my money back, or get another car, or file a complaint with your office? What sort of options might I have down that road?
Well, under the lemon law, you have 7 days to have it inspected again, as I said earlier, and then if it doesn't pass inspection and you can show that it's going to cost more than 10%, you have to write a certified letter to the dealer and also make an attempt to return the vehicle to the dealer in exchange for a refund. But you have to have everything documented. And I encourage you to visit the Attorney General's office website or the Office of Consumer Affairs and Business Regulation, which has really great tips and information, and we have those also available at our office if you need more information, step-by-step, a brochure. We have tons of brochures that we can send to you, but you must exercise your right. You have to in order to qualify, because if you have to file a complaint with our office and we cannot, for some reason or the other, unable to resolve it, either because the business is non-compliant or unwilling to give you a refund, then you have to go to court. You're going to have to show in court that you have proof that you qualify for a refund. So again, documentation is key to consumers on any type of issue, not just auto-related. It has to do with auto repair. Anytime you make a purchase, make sure that you document everything. If you're having an issue with a product or a service, document it. Keep a journal of events. Keep a journal of all the phone calls that you make. That's really, really important. That's a really important tool for consumers to know. And that's, again, that is the topic of our show, is the consumer toolbox. So documentation is key, very important.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot of consumers will do these business transactions and just kind of go off word of mouth, saying that they think that they remembered that this happened, or that, as you have seen with auto repairs, it's very hard to determine when the service was provided and then when things may have gone south. So that's why I think, going along with what you said, that documentation, you need to prove that you brought to the dealer this date and that this was done and that this happened after that.
That's correct.
So.
That's correct. And the thing is that you also want to document the mileage each time you drop it off and when you pick it up, and you want to make sure that you don't exceed the mileage. Remember what I said earlier about the lemonade law is you have so many days of warranty period, but that also includes the mileage. So make sure that you don't exceed the mileage under the warranty period, because if you do, the dealer may not have any responsibility. So there's a little bit more tips to the information, and there's a lot more things that you need to know, but you need to educate yourself. Our motto, Nick, is education is the best prevention. And that goes with the consumer toolbox, if you think
Yeah,
about it. That is our mission. Our mission is to educate consumers to prevent them from becoming victims of a scam or fraud or an unnecessary experience. I'm not here to criticize or endorse any particular dealer. I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm here to educate the consumer, but I also want to educate the business and letting them know of things that perhaps they're not aware of or that they have ignored or haven't taken the time to learn. So I'm here to educate everyone. We're all consumers. Whether you're a business owner or not, you're still a consumer. And if you're in the business of, selling vehicles or products, you should know what responsibilities you have and what responsibilities for yourself and what responsibilities you have to the consumer as well. So these are all important. Again, it's all about knowledge. It's all about empowering everyone with the tools they need.
And just one more question I had
Sure.
regarding the Lemonade law. I know it covers used cars. I was wondering if there are any other motor vehicles that are covered by this law, and if you've seen any examples of this law coming in effect in that way in the past.
Well, there's the implied warranty of merchantability, which is the warranty that it covers the vehicles that are in excess of 125,000 miles at the time of purchase. For a brand new vehicle, you're covered under the Lemon law, and that is 15,000 miles or 1 year, whichever comes first.
Okay.
So consumers need to make sure that they don't exceed the mileage during that term, because if you do, then you may not be entitled to anything. Now, under the warranty period, I might want to add, it's really important for consumers to understand that you may still be entitled to a refund if you bring the car back to the dealer 3 or more times for the same defect while under the warranty period. So let's say you buy a car and the transmission is slipping and you bring it back to the dealer and they do some repairs and you get it back and it's doing the same thing again. You bring it back a second time, you say, listen, it's not repaired, it's still reoccurring, it's still happening. You drop it off again and they give it back to you. They say, okay, we think we got it right this time. You take it back, you drive it a couple days, you experience the same exact problem. You bring it back a third time. They give it back to you and it continues to exist, the same problem. That very likely entitles you to demand a refund 3 or more times for the same problem. That's why documentation is key, because you can't say, I dropped it off, or they didn't give me anything. They can say, you never dropped it off. So documentation is really, really important. So again, I want you to be an informed consumer. I want everyone, all my audience, to learn the tools, have the tools available to be a savvy consumer, an empowered consumer. We have the tools available. In future programs, we hope to talk about identity theft, credit, utility bills, preventing getting shut off this winter season. There's going to be wonderful topics available. And if you, the viewers, have anything of interest or any questions you would like addressed on our program, please contact our office. You can email us at moci@springfieldcityhall.com. Again, moci@springfieldcityhall.com is our email address. If you wish to speak to someone in our office, a live person, you can call us at 413-787-6437. If you liked what I talked about today and you want to continue getting empowered on a daily basis, we are on Twitter, and you can follow us at Springfield LCP. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at Springfield LCP. And you can also find us online on the city website, and that is springfieldcityhall.com, and look for our link under consumer information on the left-hand column. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to you joining us again in our next program coming very soon. Thank you and have a wonderful day.